Hello and welcome to another episode of How to Be a Movie Snob. Film fight. Nope, just kidding. Just kidding, guys. Film fight series is over for now. I know, a lot of tears, a lot of gnashing of teeth, but we are back with just a single movie. Now,
just one this time.
This one.
It's a film
we
with
will definitely
fights.
have, and there will be some possibilities that we could have gone this one for a film fight. But we'll talk about that later. I am joined, of course, by the lovely
Pat.
and the more punctual this week.
Yes,
Mariah. Oh.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Couldn't not say it.
And the very yellow, the
Oh.
man in the yellow hat, minus the hat.
Dick Tracy would be proud. He'd be very proud right now.
Yeah, for you listeners only, Seth is wearing a yellow
no.
suit.
It's loud enough. They know.
Mustard. Maybe mustardy.
Hear it. Yeah, maybe a little mustard. Yeah, sure.
Folks, we have one movie, and we're excited for this movie. The last film fight we did actually inspired this movie. After the movie, Murad's like, literally, guys, have you seen this? We need to do this movie. And so, like, you know what?
Finally, I got my way.
Let's do this movie. This movie took place during wartime. It had possibly the three biggest stars, well, depending what era, but the three biggest stars of the era. One was a rising, one was well-established, and one was kind of on her starting her comeback trail. But these are arguably one of the three biggest stars of all time, not just of the era, to be honest. We have a love triangle, maybe even a love square, depending on how you want to talk about this. Everyone says love triangle, but I think it's more of a love square. We'll get to that.
No, or
triangle plus one.
Love
There's
rhombus.
outliers.
Yeah, there are outliers, and it's like a box and one situation.
Liz
And George.
as well.
We have some.
Uncle Willie.
Jeez.
You want to throw
Uncle
him in
Willie.
there?
Oh my goodness. Okay, let's just tell them what it is.
What movie?
What movie are we doing, Pat?
We did 1940s, the Philadelphia
Not
story.
just 1940s, 1940.
The Philadelphia
That's right.
story.
No Rocky, just the Philadelphia story. I'm gonna just be honest.
Bunch of transatlantic
I didn't
accents.
realize Philadelphia was ever fancy. That was the most surprising thing to me about this whole movie. How? Oh, by the way, we're so excited. That little ASMR you heard was the popping of the champagne.
There was a lot of champagne drank in this movie.
In the meantime, the drink of choice for me, of course, is the Miller High Life, the champagne beer. And Pat, are you probably just drinking a Bodo Safa again, or? Yeah,
Old Faithful. Always up.
a classic like
you
this
know,
movie.
Here's the thing, Pat. At least you're reliable.
Yeah.
At least Old Faithful over there.
Otherwise, I think I just have a bunch of cider.
That's true.
outside,
That's true. So Ryan and I will be partaking in the bubbly, and that is very appropriate because once the bubbly hits the screen, it gets real interesting in this movie. But before we get into that, guys, we like to start with some cold brews and hot takes. Hot takes. Who would like to start us off this week with the cold brews and hot takes? Mariah, are you ready this week? I usually
With a
save
hot
you
take,
till later.
am I ever?
No, but I think this time, with it being your movie of choice,
the old pro.
the movie that you required of us, and I'm not sad about it. Not sad about it. For us to watch. What was your hot take watching it this time? You watched it again. Here we are.
I mean, it's not even a hot take. It's still in my top 10.
Top 10. So that
Still.
just.
Do not. I never will waver from
Yeah.
this being in my top 10. It's so good.
I appreciate that.
And I insist that you guys agree with me on this.
Okay, well, then this is going to be the least controversial for this group. This is the best rom-com of all time. This is the best rom-com
Patrick,
of all time.
can you handle that?
I've looked at a few lists of the best rom-coms of all time. And I even had to watch one because it often was like ahead of this one. Just to like confirm in my head. I'm like, oh yeah, no, this. I was so surprised how good this was. And so my challenge to you
Did you watch When Harry Met
course.
Sally, or what'd you go and watch? What'd you put it up
Well,
against?
ironically enough, I put it up against the last movie that made Katherine Hepburn not get good reviews, which is Bringing Up Baby.
Because you thought, well, how could you lose with a tiger?
A leopard, first of all, but
leopard.
yes.
It's been a while.
Box office
A jungle
poison.
But it was always up there, and often people said this was better than what we watched this week, and I was like, no. And then I watched it, I'm like, no, this is way better than that. Philadelphia Story is way better than the other Katherine Hepburn classic that was Box Office Poison. So I agree with the 1936 crowd or whatever it was. So no, this is
33.
great. This is great. There you go. So Pat, after your hot take, I have an assignment.
36.
You're gonna have all of us are gonna say our top 3 rom-coms of all time, and Pat's had no time to prep for this, but after his hot, see, I figured Pat'd be fine. Okay, Pat, what's your hot take, and then we're gonna do our top 3 rom-coms of all time.
Hot take, just to get the audience mad at me. I'm gonna say this is not even my favorite Cary Grant movie.
Oh yeah, North by Northwest. Come on. I mean, that's easy. I mean, that's not fair. You got Hitchcock, North by Northwest.
Well, I also think
Is Roman Hall? Is it
or His Girl Friday might be
Oh.
preferable in a way.
We're jumping ahead here. But out of the top 3 actors, he's the least, for sure. But it doesn't. To me, it doesn't.
He didn't
detract.
get an Oscar nom.
No, or an Oscar win.
It is sort of an unfair take, but I would also argue, and we can get into it, how he portrayed his role makes the movie work or not.
For sure. And he definitely brings it home. He brings it home. He has the line that brings the whole plot home. We'll talk about that because I agree.
Not a great hot take.
Okay,
it's
fine.
Okay.
It is lame, but it's fine. It's fine. No, you know what? I don't care what Mariah says. It's fine.
It's wrong.
It's fine.
It's okay, though.
No, it's not.
You have your feelings. They're wrong. Moving on.
All right. Mariah, are you ready for your top 3 romantic comedies of all time? Here we go, Pat.
I have some really...
Top 3. We'll give you some time.
I have some really close thirds and fourths and fifths
that'd be
and
good.
stuff.
I can't wait.
Philadelphia Story is definitely in my top 3. Princess Bride, also in my top 3.
So I am not... we've talked about this. So audience at home, is it a romantic comedy? Is it a fantasy? Is it a...
Yes. It is.
That's...
All of those.
I think you can
as
say
the one
yes to
who
all
has
those
Princess Bride in my top 10 list, it's not going to be in my top
It's
3
not.
rom-coms.
It doesn't qualify as a
No.
rom-com.
So
See,
for
it's not
me-
in my top 10, I don't think.
Yeah, it's not. That's what I'm saying. I feel like as the person who put it in my top 10 movies of all time, I get to tell I get to classify it. I don't know
Okay.
why.
Go
I don't
ahead.
know why that is, but I feel like it shouldn't count.
I have replacements
Okay,
if
good.
you
I
want.
figured you did. That's why I wanted it. I wanted a more interesting answer than the movie that everyone kind of likes.
Yeah. The rounding out my top 3 that I went straight to, Joe versus the volcano.
Oh, that is a great snobby choice. That is a great snobby choice. I disagree, but that is a great snobby choice. I'm not mad at you picking that
Best Hanks Ryan movie,
one.
hands down.
Well,
First
I mean,
one.
wow.
My backup was High Fidelity.
So Sleepless in Seattle is not better than that for
No.
you? No way.
No.
Why do you hate the Northwest? Pat is very hurt right now. He's very hurt.
It has a better set. Well, good
come on.
soundtrack too.
Oh my goodness.
Although only some of the movies in Seattle.
Yeah, it's not all in Seattle.
No,
You know?
exactly right. That's true. It's in the title though. I mean, come on, you gotta give credit's due. Okay, so in review, your number 1. Do you have them in order? 1, 2, 3. Couldn't do it, huh?
Well, probably Philadelphia Story.
Oh, that was not solid. That was.
I mean, Joe versus the volcano jumped into my head when I was
That's
thinking
so cool.
best rom-coms. I've certainly seen it a lot.
That's amazing. I've only seen it, I think, once or twice, and I was
I had the VHS.
blown away because I saw it when I was an adult, like when I was like in my 30s. And I was like,
I think I was like post high school maybe, but shortly
so
after.
Cool. It wasn't No one watched it. No one watched that one in our age. That was like before. We all watched Sleepless in Seattle and Harry Met Sally. So,
Yeah.
all right. Pat, do you have your three? We're gonna give you a little more time. I'll give you a little more time.
I mean, I'm not confident in my three.
All right.
I think I could give.
I don't have snobby ones,
Just
by the way.
pick them.
I'll give you mine.
So I was going to go with When Harry Met Sally.
Number one. Solid choice.
It is a very
solid
solid
choice.
choice.
And I will argue it is underappreciated in snobby movie lists. It's not on the AFI top 100. It's not on the top. It's I think it's on the top 10 romantic comedies from the AFI. But it's
I would
not
also
the top
put
100 of
Forget
all time.
Paris up there too.
Good. That's No.
Sports movie.
I'm
Is it a
gonna
sports
say,
movie or is it a rom-com?
Ooh.
Oh.
You didn't want to do the Boston Red Sox one with Jimmy Fallon, huh?
No.
Fever Pitch.
Nobody picked Pitch.
No.
Fever Pitch.
Fever
Oh
Pitch.
yeah, Fever Pitch.
I was like, Pitch Perfect? No.
I'm gonna go with Groundhog
Stop
Day.
it. That's so good.
That pie song's pretty
Stop
great.
it. Oh my gosh. At least you didn't pick like Scrooge.
And then I don't. Gosh, what is another
Seriously,
one?
you have one?
I mean, I do like Sleepless in Seattle or The Apartment.
Okay.
Maybe something in
Wow,
there.
this is-
I don't know. I apologize.
I didn't
couldn't-
give audience. I did not give Pat any heads up.
Barefoot
And
in
I-
the Park is also.
I'll
a
say The
classic for
Apartment.
me.
I'll
The
say The
Apartment.
Apartment. So we got When Harry Met Sally, Groundhog Day.
Okay, that's
and The
not bad.
Apartment.
And I am going to be the most boring list of all. I got Philadelphia Story number 1, Harry Met Sally number 2, and number 3. I'm going to do a little Hugh Grant here. Now the question is which?
Four Weddings and a
Not
Funeral?
in Hill, not for weddings.
I would have picked Four Weddings and a Funeral.
You
over
know,
that, for
I
sure.
hate that I'm picking
Reese
Julie Roberts.
Reese Fonz is so good
Yes.
in that.
Yes,
And ever since
it
I'm
is
like,
so funny.
you-
This yogurt
so-
tastes funny.
he's his career is insane.
It's absolutely insane.
It's mayonnaise.
The problem with picking it was such like a big hit. Like it was such like a not snobby pick at the time.
Yeah.
But I think about it, I'm like, it still hits. Like Hugh Grant is like at his peak.
Right.
Power.
Well, and
Julia
choose
Roberts
a
is
British
at her
actor
peak
from that
power.
movie that isn't still
Oh,
relevant.
so good. So yeah,
they're alive.
That's my other one. I wanted to do, of course, Sleepless in Seattle, and I wanted to do Roman Holiday. But I went with what I knew, which was my era, and Notting Hill was it. I mean, is that her?
Yeah.
It was that or
a good one.
Hopeless, you know? No, just kidding. I can't. I can't. Hopeless was terrible.
Yeah, but I
And I
have
also
seen
feel
it a
like-
lot.
Yeah, I
it
did
was-
too. It was bad.
It felt, man, this is probably way wrong, but like it was one of the last Hugh Grant movies where it felt like Hugh Grant was kind of the underdog.
Yes. It was.
What
The
about
rest of
the
the time, he's
Englishman that
prime
went up a
minister,
hill
or
and
he's a-
came
It's-
down a mountain?
You know what it was, Pat? It was the last
So
movie
good.
he did before he got caught with the prostitute, and he got he got divorced from Elizabeth Hurley. Like that was literally, I think, the last movie. And so then we had kind of like, then Hugh Grant was no longer this. We couldn't.
But then he
believe
started
was
getting all like
innocent.
the bad boy parts.
Well,
you
yeah.
know, Bridget Jones. And
Yeah, exactly right. 'Cause-
music
Yeah.
and lyrics.
Yeah, leaned into it.
Exactly right. So, way to go, Hugh Grant and shit.
Way
Such
to
a
roll
chameleon.
with it and
He's
still have a
music
very
and
successful
lyrics.
Basically,
career.
Daniel
I love
Day
that.
Lewis Part 2. You know what I mean? He's basically Daniel Day Part 2.
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay.
Oompa Loompa. He did a great job.
I tell you what, and he's also in Paddington 1 and 2.
He did a pretty good job.
Yeah, pretty good. Paddington 2 was actually really good. Okay, that was my little foray, guys, because I was blown away. Okay, first impressions. Pat, you seen this before? Yes,
No.
Pat. What were your impressions when you watched this? Like when you sat down finally. I can't believe you haven't seen this between your sister and your mom. I can't believe you haven't seen this.
Yeah,
only showed up
I
for the
don't. I
sci-fi
don't think it
stuff.
made the rounds. Well, or I mean, you guys didn't have it on a
No.
loop
No.
like Pride and Prejudice
No.
and things, and it's not a holiday movie,
Right.
So it didn't get in the rotation in a way, and I think it really would have been like, was it on Turner Classic Movies?
Yeah,
at
it
some
was like
point?
on
It
an
was just on?
For
AMC,
sure.
like
Maybe.
all
Sure,
about
TCM.
Katherine Hepburn week,
Yeah.
or all about Cary Grant or Jimmy
Yeah.
Stewart, and they just played
Big
him,
Jimmy
played him, played
Stewart.
him. Yeah,
And I probably looked at it and I thought, nah,
Yeah.
I don't need to see this. Why are they talking so funny? I'm sick of myself. One, it's funny because we just recently watched Cary Grant, and I've seen plenty of Jimmy Stewart, but Katherine Hepburn's transatlantic accent is so
mocked.
Such an odd thing where you're like, is this a Boston accent? Is it English? What is this? And it's like they made this up. This era of people made up this accent to be hoity-toity and
to fit
be,
her. It's just to fit her.
Yes. Like, she's whatever she is, a goddess.
And one of the most quoted and imitated accents of all time. Like she would have been like the Arnold Schwarzenegger of her era. Like that's how many people would be like, Cousin,
So that was like, right. That's a thing. And then I thought, I like lots of little bits of this, but it took me a while to figure out like where it was really going because of the love rhombus. I was like, what am I rooting for?
Patent pending on Love Rhombus, by the way. How to Be a Movie Snob. We'll be patting that one.
Yeah. So it landed for me
later,
but
later. Not right away.
Pretty late. Where I was like, who do I like in this? What do I want to have happen? I enjoyed the banter, the wittiness, the weirdness. All of that was great. The side characters in this are wonderful. But I was like, am I enjoying this in the way I should be? Because I think I couldn't quite figure it out what Dexter was up to. I was weirded out that Jimmy Stewart was like falling in love with her because I was like, well, wait, what's up with Liz?
Poor Liz.
And, so there's all this stuff happening where I was like, what do I want
so good.
here?
I do want to rewind and say my hot take was Dinah is probably one of the best child. She did so good.
She killed it. That
was
the moment where I fell in love with the movie because I'm like, what is she doing? I'm like, and then when
she's putting on the character,
Katherine Hepburn's
dancing
character
around playing piano,
and then Katherine Hepburn's comes in and just plays off it perfectly. I'm like, I love this movie.
Yeah, it was very like Meet Me in St. Louis, but without it being annoying.
Yes.
Hey,
Tootie was a little annoying, but Dinah's awesome.
Hey Pat, in the background there. Sorry for the listeners on the radio. Is there the door open a little bit? Is it the dog or is it the person?
Ghost.
It moved open. Oh gosh. Maybe.
Oh yeah, Ivy came in. She's been barking out there, and she's like, "Hey, have you heard me barking?" And I pet her.
Just for the record,
and now she went out
is
to
Pat's
bark
dog, not one of his children. Okay, we're gonna move on from there.
They don't bark as often.
Not as
anymore.
often.
Baby, as they say.
No, not as often.
But they did teach the dog.
They did.
There she is.
Oh, hey Ivy, you're so big.
Little precious little
fur ball,
fur lump. But it's wonderful in the way this era of movies are, or it's kind of subversive.
It's less annoying. Yeah.
Weirdly modern. Also,
very
like just the modern sensibility of the whole thing.
Thank you.
The openness.
This is why it's under the radar because it's still Hays Code, but it's still like clever and it's like, this is a great like a movie today having this message would kill. Like you could do this in 2024 with the same thing. You wouldn't have the same lines from the dad, but other than that, we'll get to that. But
or the pinchy
Uncle Willie pinching butt.
He's a little handsy. As they say.
He really liked Liz too.
Pinching
scare.
your
he's
nieces,
a pincher.
Your nieces, but that was next level. I'm like, 1940. Okay, here we are. I'm back. I know where we're at now. So watching this, I immediately thought, okay, 1940. But I kept making the comment, I don't know who to look at because everyone's commanding my attention. And I was so impressed by the Cary Grant, Jimmy Stewart, Katherine Hepburn scenes where I'm like, there's so much star power right in the scene. And it was funny. And then Cary Grant faded away, and it was just Jimmy Stewart and Katherine Hepburn. And it was one of my favorite Katherine Hepburn. I don't always thought I liked Katherine Hepburn as much as I know she's great, but I didn't know why. And this was like, oh, I get it now. You're this thing that I don't understand why I like, but I really enjoy you. And I didn't understand that before seeing just clips and stuff. You know what I mean?
I don't think people in the movie really understand.
That's the point of this movie, and which is
she
great.
Just had
it's
that
literally
way.
like, yeah, it's great. And the funny thing is, it's so obvious that Jimmy Stewart's about to be big. Like, he's about to take over Hollywood. It's so fun. It's so fun seeing him just kind of command a scene. And it's funny seeing Cary Grant not take over the scene as the alpha male in a scene.
Well, and he
did such a good job as like the straight man.
He had just done Mr. Smith Goes to Washington the year before and didn't win the Oscar, which is why he thinks he won the Oscar for this one. It was a makeup call.
I think he did better in this than he thinks, because he really did control the scenes. When he started to like, at first you're like, oh, what is he? He's just a sniveling.
He plays the most hilarious champagne drunk.
It's one of the best drunk scenes I've ever seen.
One
of the best drunks I've ever seen.
Again,
the one take of the hiccups. That's a fun fact.
These movies informed all the cartoons we watched growing up, right?
Oh my gosh.
Anybody drinking hiccups in cartoons of my childhood, probably because of movies like
Jimmy
this.
pulled it off so well.
I was like, why are they hiccuping?
Exactly right.
You know, I don't hiccup when I'm drunk. I don't know who does.
Well, there comes a point in the evening, I think, when there is a chance for the hiccups.
If I've ever drank that much, I've heard I might.
His drunk scene with
Thank you.
Grant
yes, it's my favorite.
CK Dexter
the
Haven.
moment where it was so funny.
I don't know if I should punch you or you should punch me.
But when,
do you want to flip a coin?
When he hiccups, yeah. Oh, you have some champagne. Don't mind if I do.
Yeah. Yeah, mind if I have some of this?
When Jimmy Stewart hiccups and Cary Grant apologizes for it, I was like, this scene is next level. Like, this scene is the best thing.
Well, also, I feel like it's so rare that a movie, especially of this time, talks about somebody who's sober.
Yes.
Like, he doesn't drink anymore.
And she doesn't drink until she does.
Yeah, not very often. When she does, she overdoes it. But yeah, that whole, like, him going to a sanatorium and like 2 of them, I think he said maybe took him. But
it's crazy because
and there wasn't like
there was no
stigma or anything. It was just kind of matter of fact.
It was more just negative talk about how he used to be as a drunk.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And you go, oh yeah, you're an alcoholic.
But now you're sober and super charming.
So now that we're about 20 minutes into this, should we talk about the plot?
Oh yeah. Who is CK Dexter Haven? Who is Macaulay Connor?
So this movie takes place in the Philadelphia socialite high end. We have 3 main characters with a 4th and 5th and 6th that are kind of on the peripheral. The main 3 characters are our ex-husband,
CK Dexter Haven, Cary Grant,
played by Cary Grant. We have the ex-wife,
Tracy Lord,
played by
Katherine Hepburn.
We have the soon-to-be Miss Katherine Hepburn, Mr. Katherine Hepburn, the guy. George. The least we haven't even mentioned him yet because he's not even. But by the way, Katherine Hepburn's character is about to get married the next day, and
is it also George and
George in the Jungle?
Front Page, not Front Page, but you know what I'm saying. The other one with Cary Grant is the fiance also George. What's his name?
No, is it? That's great if it is.
It's similar, right?
On My Girl Friday.
Yeah, his girl.
Mariah, did you mute your phone?
Did I? No, it's over here. No.
Just click that. Just click right there. There you go. Yeah, you can.
Can you hear me?
Can you hear me now? Check 1.
I hear dog.
I don't hear anything.
Oh, no. How about now?
All right.
Technical difficulties, folks.
Boo doo boo
A little too much champagne on our end.
I didn't touch it.
We should have that Simpsons picture.
Wait. No, that's fine.
That's good.
Are you fine?
We can hear him. He's fine. Like, we can hear him.
We're just going to keep going. There's nothing wrong. Should I hang up? I'm going to click, and then I'll call you
text
again.
Text him and say, we can hear you, but you can't hear us. It's on his end. It's
your
his
fault,
bad.
Pat. Oh, he hung up.
Oh, snap. All right.
Rudeness.
I'm going to do this so we remember.
I'll call him. Okay. I hear him now. Do you hear me now? Oh, my. Hey.
There you are. I don't know what happened.
I'm just going to cover up the camera now.
So in post, I
just
remember.
Stopped hearing you.
What did you do?
Maybe.
Oh, that's your cutting. That was a lot of. You took like a whole comforter
to put in front
of it, and you could have just done like a piece of paper.
I couldn't find a piece of paper. Oh, there's lots of pieces of paper. Okay, I see what you're saying now.
Can you hear us, Pat?
I can hear you now. I apologize. I don't know.
We could hear you the whole time.
It just stopped.
Like we had no problem hearing you. We were having a great conversation about you. With you.
It just immediately cut out when we got to George.
I bet you could have just kept going, and we would just had comments behind you.
George Dickens.
Who was the fiance's name in His Girl Friday? Was it also George? I feel like it was George.
Ooh.
It was
not George.
Bruce?
I don't know.
Bruce?
Bruce.
Same.
Bruce Baldwin. Bruce Baldwin.
He's a Baldwin?
Well, he's a very similar character.
Actually, I wouldn't marry Baldwin now.
As opposed to George Kittredge.
Yeah.
Mr. Kittredge.
George is... Yeah. Okay. Sorry, folks. We had a little technical differences, but we're back. So, George Kittredge is about to marry Katherine Hepburn's character, which I totally spaced in. Tracy. And then there's two reporters and a photographer played by Miss Hussey herself.
Mm-hmm.
Ruth Hussey. I couldn't get over that. Sorry, guys. Had to do a little Hussey jokes there. And we just thought Katherine Hepburn was the Hussey. But no, it's Ruth. Ruth the Hussey. Sorry, folks. I don't have better jokes than that. I don't.
I believe she was called a prig.
A lot of prigs. What? Did you look that up, by the way? Prig? Meaning of prig, Pat?
I think it's...
I thought it was sort of a robot.
Oh. Anyways.
A self-righteously moralistic person who behaves as if superior to others.
Don't be such a prig.
Because she was dressing him down for cheating on her mom. What a prig.
I have so many questions for you guys. Okay. So then I cannot. Why am I doing this? She's about to get married the next day. Two reporters come in. They don't want to be there, but they kind of have to be there to make some money, and so they're about to
because
do
their
reports
boss
on
is
this high-sided character. They're blackmailing
the family.
The family. So therefore, they can be there. But what the reporters don't know is that the family's in on the thing. Because they're in there undercover as a friend of the family, but really everyone knows that they're reporters. And so the hilarity ensues. And then not only does the hilarity ensues, but we have some like class warfare. You're high, you're snobby, you're low, you came from the poor class, you're too intellectual. And then it goes around in a circle. And that's where we get...
I do love in the beginning when Jimmy uses the house phone and calls in and the mom answers. This is doom.
Bring us something to drink.
Yeah.
Oh. So that's the background. Wow.
Background.
I'll take some more champagne.
That's
you're doing your best Jimmy Stewart
I'll take
impression.
next more. So that's the background of what we're about to be in. And this is where it gets real fun because the ex, Cary Grant, comes to kind of torture him. By the way, let's start with the first scene because we have to address this. Hilarious and weird and uncomfortable.
The assault?
Yeah. The face palm. Okay. I'm going to slap you.
Well, and it started like...
Yeah, what did she say? Did he sock her? Or
no,
did
he faked
deck her?
He faked it. And
but Dinah's asking, he's like, did he really sock her?
Yeah, which is like because they got reported in the news.
Don't say that.
Like, we don't say
that stinks.
what did did he strike her?
That's right.
And he's like, we don't say that. It's untoward enough or something. It's like socked her.
Yeah.
Other characters in this movie include
Little Sister Dinah.
Mother,
Father,
who's afar,
Uncle
who we don't see
Willie.
till later, and then Uncle Willie, who's kind of a little handsy, little pincher. He's a pincher. And then we also have the photographer, who's kind of the romantic but not romantic other of Jimmy Stewart's character.
Poor Liz,
kind of like the background character Liz. And then we have we got a Barrymore in this movie, by the way. We got Drew's uncle or great uncle. Yeah, Drew Barrymore's great uncle is the butler. Just so you know, a little Barrymore action there for you guys. Don't worry.
Which Barrymore?
Is he a Barrymore?
He's a very Barrymore.
A Lionel?
Yeah.
John?
So, no, he's John's brother's dad, I think. Is what I think it is. Anyways, I could be off. So
Uncle Willie.
Barrymore. Not as hopefully he's a Barrymore. He could be a pincher. So we come into this, and it's funny because the reporters are coming in, and they're getting like had. They're just getting like getting made fun of, and it's amazing. Because you have Dinah, the daughter, coming in with diamonds strewed upon her, talking like
with her ballet shoes,
pirouetting in, and then starts speaking in French. She's like, English is my second language, and she'll like sing and dance for me because I'm really good at singing and playing at the same time. And then
which is funny because the song that she plays is a song that was only written like the year before.
Oh, it's so good
by Groucho Marx.
Oh,
I believe.
I don't know.
Wow, that's impressive.
His movie.
And so then Katherine Hepburn's character comes in, and it just plays right along with it, and that's when you love Katherine Hepburn's character. Like then you love Tracy Samantha Lord. You're like, okay, I'm in, I'm sold, and then she dresses them down. She's like, I don't know, it's really not a big deal to be married. Have you been married before? And she's like, well, he's like, oh, you have, and she like figures out immediately the tension between the two of them,
John
and
Smith
calls it out.
Is that his name?
And flips the script. And then Jimmy Stewart's character even says like, I thought we were the one who was supposed to be interviewing them.
Yeah,
and it was such a great moment. I'm like, oh, okay, little reverse, and it was kind of fun because it's like a backwards trope. Usually the mystery's on the other side. Like they don't know what's going on, but they're like, hey, everyone gets the gag. Let's flip it. And then they kind of revealed it. And so that was kind of a fun, like, it's a smart enough movie to understand the trope and kind of put it out there. Not quite breaking the third wall, but almost. Like it felt like it was just very obvious. Like this is what we're doing. Fourth wall. Thanks, Pat. Pat had a whole 4 fingers, which I could still count, by the way. Thank you very much. So there we go. Nice. That's where we got to right now.
8.
How many walls?
How do you appreciate it?
What's wrong with your hand? You have 8.
By the way, breaking the... Did she actually break that golf club over her knee?
Yeah.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a hickory
and then she like
stick.
threw his... Was it a cigar holder?
She threw the whole bag.
Or was it like poker chip holder? It was some sort of round...
Yeah. It's... Yeah,
you just didn't know. It was pretty entertaining.
You didn't know what to think about either one of them at that point. You're just like, okay, 2 years later, and then Dinah loves her ex the whole time. Which
everyone really does.
Everyone loves the ex because he's high society. Oh, by the way, Cary Grant's character, C.K. Dexter Haven, is high society. Katherine Hepburn is high society.
Came from old
designs
money.
Yachts.
Yep, and then.
Grandfather built the library.
Jimmy Stewart, Ruth Hussey, they are both low society, but they are intellectuals, so they're kind of on that
working class.
And then John Howard as George Kitchers. It is working class, but became rich, so it's almost worse for some reason. He's not, and that's what.
And craves
that attention.
Yeah, he wanted the reporters.
It's
he
really
wanted to let him in.
Class movie more than a rom-com. There's a lot. I mean, they're both, but there's a lot of like. The reason with their motivations seem more out of class because it seems like Jimmy Stewart's character is almost overcompensating to make Katherine Hepburn's character feel bad about herself for being rich. Like it's almost as
But there's also not like a clear perspective.
Oh no, class. None of them have a good perspective.
It's not. There's not like a point of view other than, it's hard to commingle.
It was really like a highlight on the stereotypes.
I mean,
and then in the end, kind of proving that they didn't really.
Yes, they're all ridiculous. It was the end point that sometimes Sneetches have stars and sometimes Sneetches don't have stars. No Dr. Seuss quotes here? Okay.
No.
But the best part about it was...
Although you look like you're in a Dr. Seuss book. I'm going to start thinking of a yellow poem.
Oh, all of them. A little Coldplay. Should I play that in the background? Yeah, there you go. So...
Seth was all yellow.
Yeah, but I thought that was great because it was they're getting dressed down by the butler when they first get there. There's obviously like they're too snobby for us. And I want to mention who this movie's based on. Yes, this was the original play was written kind of for Katherine Hepburn for herself, but it was also
for her to play the part.
Yes, it was based on an actual socialite.
Yes.
And it's pretty great because rumor is they were going to actually film at this socialite's house. I'm looking up her name right now, but the house
she had several names.
Yes, the name was their house was so ridiculous that the director thought it would be unbelievable.
Nobody
that
thought people
actually
would
live
there. Like we can't even sell this as a house people live in.
And it was the actual house that that said socialite lived in, and I thought that was it's so good. Oh yeah, I thought yeah. Anyways, okay, so let's keep moving on. Let's break down this movie even more. So guys, what's the next part where you're like, okay, we're getting real now?
Uncle Willie throws a party. And there's a lot of champagne.
I don't remember why. But there's just a party.
Is it a coincidence that it's night before the wedding, or it's for them?
Yeah, it feels unrelated to the wedding.
Thought. It was like Uncle Willie's having.
It feels like it's in Uncle Willie's honor.
So there's a party at Uncle Willie's.
For no particular reason.
And Tracy decides she's gonna drink some champagne because Dexter.
She's not a drinker usually.
So does Mike.
Dexter offends her, and she decides, I'm going to have some.
Well, she got really dressed down by her dad, by Dexter. Yeah. Everyone's saying she has no empathy. She doesn't tolerate weakness. She's a prig. She's, kind of not everyone's favorite.
Statue.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So she drinks some champagne, does some dancing.
Yeah.
And Macaulay Connor also.
They said till after 4 in the morning, that party.
I don't remember the time.
That's just when they decide to leave the party.
Oh, in the moon. Wow. That's a Snoop Dogg song right there.
Kittredge is like, it's after 4. And she's like, if it was tomorrow, we'd be married by now or something. And it's like, what is happening? And then they're like, let's keep it going.
I feel better about my bachelor night before the wedding. I feel
those old rich people could go hard because her parents were still going too.
Oh, they were going hard.
Mrs. Lord was like, let's keep dancing. Whoa. Tired just thinking about
and then the best scene in the movie. Not the best scene in the movie.
Oh, yeah. So Connor, Macaulay Connor?
I'm pretty sure it's Macaulay Culkin, but yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Also, I didn't realize Macaulay went, people call him Mike sometimes, which makes some sense, but I've never heard that. Anyway, he decided he wanted to go talk to Dexter, Cary Grant, and grabbed a bottle of champagne and drove over there. And man, it was such a good scene. And not to get too far ahead of fun facts, but apparently the hiccuping was spontaneous, and Cary Grant almost broke.
Yeah, you can look back and he's like looking down, smiling,
trying to
and looking away a little bit.
And so even that, that excuse me thing, was all just him improv basically off of what Jimmy Stewart did.
That was a one take.
That's so good.
Yeah, and then so that was kind of where
the plot twists
the movie. Yeah, I think that's where the movie started landing for me.
Dexter starts making.
I kind of know what Dexter's up
now,
to
but he sees the opportunity to like clear the family name and get the story out of there. Like he has something against the other guy, and so suddenly he turns into the hero a little bit.
Yes, and Jimmy Stewart is also kind of declaring his love. That was a thing in the movie that didn't totally work for me.
There was this Stewart asking her to marry him. That wasn't legit for you.
well,
he for him and Tracy though, they think they'd done something more than they'd done because there was watches and things in the wrong rooms.
He didn't seem to think.
Yeah, he seemed good.
He had that whole. It was 2 kisses, and I put her to bed because we both drank too much. But so she was reading his book at the library. And so he immediately was like, "There's more to you than I thought."
Reading cap on.
I think
that was
in the library,
and she already read through all of his books. Like I'm like, okay,
yeah. So he started being like, "Okay, there's more to you than I thought." Then they weirdly have this, "Let's get into swimming robes, even though we're not really going to swim." Conversation, and she's like trying to bribe him. Kind of, and he's honest, taken aback by it. Like, that's not a thing we do. We're not like kept artists anymore by rich people.
I want you to be in this house that I own that I don't use.
Yeah, this is his house. Oh, I'm so glad I thought of this house with you here. And you're like, what is happening? But then through all that, Jimmy Stewart determines that she is a goddess. And that was the thing, honestly, in the whole movie where I was like, why is everyone talking about her like this? She's not presenting herself in that way. And so everyone to kind of have gone insane to treat her like that felt so odd. Like she seems like an equal in every manner, but not, I don't know. Like she didn't traipse around like she was...
She's smart. She's
meant to be adored.
Says what she thinks. She's.
I got a lot of thoughts
she's
about
rich.
this.
She's beautiful. I think there's just a thing about her that everybody's entranced.
Yeah,
by.
and
you know where we're going with this, right?
Totally.
You know where we're going with this because this is kind of like a Katherine Hepburn autobiography, kind of right now. This is like where it's like we don't know what we don't like about you, but there's something that makes you seem like you're better than us. But yet, underneath all that, we still really like you. And that's kind of the theme of this whole movie of like, it doesn't matter whatever, because all of them are trying to shield themselves with, oh yeah, I'm intellectual, so I'm cooler than you. Yeah, I actually had to work for my money, so I'm cool. I'm a high society, so I'm actually cultured, so I'm better than you. All of that fades away, and then we're just left with, do they actually like each other for who they are? Which... So I think that's supposed in my feelings because I got that the character that just I can't believe it because he's the least. It's one of the least impressive Cary Grant moments, but he's just kind of sitting in the background, waiting for things to unfold, and not necessarily so he can tell Catherine's character that I told you so, but kind of. It's almost like. The two characters, you ready for this? You ready for this? The two characters are both C.K. Dexter, Haven, and Liz Embry are kind of the same thing right now. They've both lived life, and they've understood it. And they're letting these...
They're waiting for the other two to mature. Which she essentially says, I'm just waiting for him to grow up.
And he does too, because he says you act like you're better than thou, and he says I've said what I need to say now, and so when she screws up with him, and then it's so
he's just waiting in the wings.
They're both waiting in the wings. It's just that Cary Grant's a lot more,
which I think is Cary Grant's character for that. Like to me, it felt like his motivation was like he knew George wasn't a good match for her. And so he wasn't helping that progress, but he also seemed like fine with Jimmy Stewart sort of pursuing her.
Yes.
It wasn't like, I'm going to get in the way of this. He thought, oh, this is interesting. And I like Jimmy Stewart
jealous,
more than
which
I like
was
George.
very weird. Which I love that about it, because he didn't really...
Not outright.
He didn't have a place to be jealous. No. And he knew the long-term game plan, which was George is getting married tomorrow, not Jimmy. And so he's like, Jimmy... Because it was a very wise... Someone who when you date someone, you're like, I can't, as the ex, you can't be the one to tell someone they're wrong. So to have another person be like,
well, and I think he had just had faith she was going to figure it out. Yes,
and so it was like, and it was red. Yeah, he was so obnoxious, and then when he started to hold back, you're like, wait, why isn't he saying stuff? Mm-hmm. And he's like, you don't want to see this, and the expression on his face is almost like, oh, this is going to work out better for me than I thought. Mm-hmm. Like this crazy, like I'm like. Another bro just stole your girl, dude. And he's like, nope, I'll be fine. Well, just watch.
Yeah. It's no big deal. But so that all worked for me. It bothered me in the moment with Liz. Because I thought, oh, what's happening with Liz? Liz seems great.
Jealous, what do you mean?
She's just
more
getting
jealous?
Kicked around.
Or just Jimmy Stewart just kind of is a jerk.
He's a big jerk.
Okay.
She really just should have stuck with Uncle Willie.
Okay. Uncle Willie hitting on her was hilarious.
I also was like, creepy. Get away from Uncle Willie.
I have a horrible, this is going to be like revealing for me, but I remember having someone, I was in a dating relationship and they're just like, you just need to grow up. And I dated somebody else, and then the other person, we broke up, and they're like, good, you get it now. And I was like, that's that moment. I've had that moment in real life. I was that Jimmy Stewart guy who was an idiot and tried to date
this person just waited for you to stop
they literally just watched it implode, and they were just waiting. Because like the Liz character to me, the only reason I believed it is because I've seen it in real life. Was waiting for Jimmy to implode. Like they knew he was gonna ask him to marry her. Like that was obviously
that was.
Well,
but
that was a wise and patient thing. Like, it's hard to believe, but it was impressive to see.
And honestly, like, this is my only way to like compare it because of like going to a Christian bubble land where I lived in college. You have to get married. You don't have sex. And this is pre-Hays Code, even though the actors and actors were having sex together behind the scene. They
where you
had
could
to
strike your wife.
And... Exactly right. You can hit them, sure. You can be an alcoholic and drive, sure. But you can't have sex. The drinking and driving is also pretty nuts.
Whereas, like, let's get you home, and they're both
No, you're the best drunk driver. No, you're the best drunk driver.
Yeah. It's like, wait a minute.
What is happening?
It's not far from Uncle Willie's to their house.
They haven't even had World War II in America yet. This is like, we haven't even, like, Pearl Harbor hasn't happened yet. We don't understand life yet. Like, it's fine. Yeah. It's fine.
It's been long enough since the first one.
I appreciate this movie because it was like the two people who've like lived a little are waiting for these other two to fall off their ivory towers. And I thought that played true on both sides. So the only reason I believe Liz is because of that.
You realize Cary Grant, certainly, because he's a more active participant than Liz. Liz is just waiting for Jimmy Stewart to not be
she's
typing.
But like, she's really working on that typing.
Cary Grant is like clearly poking at things in a way to get Tracy to sort of realize at least George isn't the right choice for her. But it also didn't feel to me like he was doing that so she'd get back with him. It felt like he was doing it because he knew she deserved better than George.
Mm-hmm. No, it wasn't.
And it only kind of by the time we got to the end of the movie, it was like, if you'll take me, I'm ready to give you, what you deserve now, kind of thing. I thought that all worked well for me eventually, but like early on in the movie,
that final
what
speech,
are you doing?
The final speech was great. Like, give me my words. And
as soon as the Cary Grant, Jimmy Stewart drunk scene happened, the movie just took off. I was like, we're in.
That scene was so
good. It was so good. And it kind of helped the whole movie because then then it wrapped up with Cary Grant's character dictating to Tracy Samantha Lord what she should say as people are going out there. Like that was like, it was like, this was my plan all along. Because this is the thing. It's still a romantic comedy, people. We're not this. Wait, didn't this get a nomination for like screenwriting though?
Yeah, screenplay.
That's the crazy part.
Six noms.
I gotta say, I am
wins.
so annoyed with modern Oscars that a comedy would never get this many. Never. No. Screenwriting for a screwball comedy. Well, I wish.
But the writer said it was like the easiest screenplay he ever did because the play was so perfect.
Exactly right.
He was like, this was just very easy to translate. Plus, you already had the same leading lady.
Yeah, who done it? How many shows did you do? Like 500?
A lot.
Something crazy like that. And she just.
And then she was able to handpick
exactly
her cast,
right.
Basically, the other scene I loved, again with Cary and Stewart, was when when he's singing Somewhere the Rainbow. A lot of modern references because that song had just come out
1 year before.
You couldn't do that now. You couldn't do that because it would be impossible to license it. All the things that they did back then, you just can't do now.
No.
Yeah. So he comes out and then Katherine Hepburn sort of sleepily, drunkily is like, "Oh, hello, Dex. Hello, George." You know, this very silly
hello, George
thing. But then, Dexter realizes like George is going to want to punch Jimmy Stewart.
He punches it instead.
Punches him instead.
And he's like, "You're welcome."
He's in better shape.
He's in way better shape than I am. That's the
I love the follow-up speech to that, though.
Yeah.
The whole next morning, Dinah's like, "Well, I went to the window and I saw
she should have got a
Mr.
nomination.
Connor carrying you."
I had the craziest dream.
Yes,
I had the craziest dream.
Her whole take on it when they're all like opening their eyes and be like, "Oh,
she was a little scene stealer.
She was
She's stealing
good.
scenes from Katherine Hepburn
and her
Jimmy
accent
Stewart.
in it is a bit of a reflection too, I think, of Katherine Hepburn. Like you kind of hear like, man, Dinah's got like the mini version. Like I feel like she must have just based her little accent off of
best
Katherine.
Screenplay. It didn't just.
Jimmy Stewart
won. Yeah, I knew Jamie Stewart did.
The two wins, 6 noms.
Well,
man,
and it's at the end being like, I did this. Like I couldn't get smallpox, but I could do this.
What would it take?
That's so funny.
How do you get smallpox?
Don't put ideas in your head.
Quick question. This is a stupid. Joseph L. Mankiewicz, brother of the guy who wrote
Mank.
Brother, no, Mank is the guy who wrote. So his brother is the one who wrote Citizen Kane. But he was he. So he must have been the producer on this one because that's when he got the nomination. Okay, that makes sense.
He produced it.
The Mankiewicz were doing all right. They were doing okay, I guess, back then.
They made some solid choices.
Yeah. I mean, the drinking, whatever, but that's good stuff.
Yeah, should we dig a little bit into the kind of behind the scenes of
how it could get dirty here?
Got made.
Well, this will literally change the rating of this episode if we dig too deep.
I think the most fun.
I don't know.
The most fun fact for me.
It is for me.
There's so many.
The most fun fact for me was that Cary Grant got to pick which of these roles he wanted, thinking of how it could have gone differently. Like he made the right choice.
He did.
And he picked like the understated one, which for him was the opposite of what he would normally have done. Mm-hmm. And he did take top billing, but it was for good reasons.
Yeah.
And he's so good in that role. Like
in this role?
That you need
Which
him.
Which is why when watching His Girl Friday, I was like, you have to watch Philadelphia Story now because of how well he did as the ex-husband. It's so good how he does it.
I don't know because I don't think he was. I think he was the third best actor of the scene, fourth best when the sisters.
But he makes the story work.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
So his character is like pulling the strings. He's doing the whole.
But not crazy. But not like crazy though. Not like some other.
But he makes it all believable that he is both, damaged enough to be kind of cutting, but also loving enough to be trying to do this for her benefit and for the family.
But
so is
And he's just so freaking charming.
Yeah,
so even though he's kind of
and you believe it too,
not maybe the best guy.
And you believe it because of the whole he's sobered up and now he's older, wiser.
Yes.
Yeah.
Pretending to let her go.
And everyone clearly liked him. There was a lot of good backgroundy stuff where all of the side characters clearly liked him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so there, you go, okay, there's something to this guy. He wasn't obviously awful all the time.
Yeah.
Does anybody else like how the butlers are keeping an eye on Jimmy Stewart, where he has to open up his coat?
So good.
And then he ends up stealing a lighter anyway.
When he's just looking around.
Such great bits.
It's so funny.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Oh yeah. So anyway, the making of. So my understanding of this, and I'll be curious the deal. So obviously the play was written with Katherine Hepburn in mind because she'd been determined as box office poison. Her career is kind of on the outs. She got this play, did gangbusters, and she had her friend Howard Hughes, who we are aware of.
Yes, that's very generous.
Buy the movie rights to the play and give them to her, so then she can negotiate with her in the lead to get this movie made. And choose the director.
That's my understanding.
Not only that, she didn't even get paid as an actress. She just took 40%.
Yeah, she took a deferment.
I was reading
40%.
Yeah, 45, I think.
Oh,
but it was such a savvy. She knew how well this was gonna do.
Yeah.
She was like, nope, let's do this instead. The whole salary piece.
Yeah, and she's like, I'll get the guy who maybe should have won the Oscar last year to be in a part. And I'll get Cary Grant, who is great, and I'll get her first director she ever worked with, George Cukor, to direct.
Little Women.
Yep. Who slapped her?
He directed her in Little Women.
He did. So this director is an infamous actor's director. Like the opposite of John Ford. John Ford is very much scene, the camera angles,
do what I tell you. Do what I tell you.
Yeah. But he was an actor's director, and he's also known as a women's director. He was really famous in Hollywood for being a good director of women. But he also famously slapped Katherine Hepburn on the set of Little Women because he told her don't run up the stairs. We have one dress and you're carrying ice cream and you're spilling. And so sure enough, she ran up the stairs and got ice cream and he slapped her in front of everybody. So it's this weird, but it's also, there's this weird dynamic of he treats everyone he really cares about the actors and their talent more so than the stories as compared to other directors. But
she apparently felt okay enough about it.
And she's wanted him again. So that's the crazy part about it. I mean, different era, y'all. Different era. Mariah used to slap me all the time.
He was an uncredited. Well,
I would in 2024.
He was an uncredited director on Gone with the Wind.
Yeah.
So that was interesting. Because they also, I think they wanted Clark Gable.
They did, but they didn't want them together because Clark Gable's the one that got George Cukor fired in the first. Contributed to getting him fired.
From Gone with the Wind.
Ooh,
that's why.
That's a good
scale. One of the reasons why he got asked to leave.
And I think George Cukor maybe started Wizard of Oz. Also similarly, he got the ball rolling on that movie.
Yeah.
And then, which is sort of that call out with Singing Somewhere the Rainbow was in there. Anyway, that's fascinating. So that's my understanding of this situation.
Well, and she wanted Clark Gable and Spencer Tracy, and she hadn't met Spencer Tracy yet, the love of her life. And she had never even met him.
You ready for this? Not only that,
but they weren't available.
Spencer Tracy did not want to work with her until he saw this movie. Isn't that crazy? He thought she was too masculine, too much of a pain to work with, and then he watched this movie, and that's when Spencer Tracy decided, I guess I'll work with her. She did really well.
And then they did every movie together for the next million years.
It's crazy because he was the statement he says about her is how were they ever even friends?
Yeah.
Nonetheless, lifelong partners. It's crazy.
I want before Seth explains how torrid.
I don't know if I'm gonna get into it. We'll talk about that.
The other thing George Cukor directed, was the movie Gaslight.
Oh.
I don't know if you guys know about this, but this is where the origin of the term gaslighting comes
Stop.
from. Which is,
Really?
making specifically in that movie a woman think she's crazy, because she was suspecting a murder happened, and they're like, no, nothing of the sort happened. So anyway,
gaslighting's back.
Fun. He helped usher in quite the term.
It's back again. What the heck?
Through that movie. So anyway, Seth, as safely as you can, what the heck are you talking about?
Well, James Stewart may be more famous for the name Jimmy Stewart for certain sizes of his body. That's the rumor.
In the reading of my fun facts, that nobody shows him in a swimsuit.
No one.
He's only in the cover up.
Yes.
Because he said if
he thought he might not work again. If he's
at least not in these kind of films.
Yeah, maybe. I thought what he meant was
I thought
what he meant was because he was like
he's out of
skinny
shape
or something.
Well, he said he had skinny
Embarrassed.
legs, and he said the quote was something like, "No one wants to see that. I'll be out of a job. Everyone who made this movie will be out of a job, and they'll stop making movies." Like it was something hilarious like that. Like this total extremist.
But there are some actresses that said something else.
Yeah, apparently. I mean, it was. I just had who he first dated, but that was like the rumor going around. So like, Katherine Hepburn has a little bit of a record of romantic entanglements with her co-stars.
Involving herself.
Sometimes she would have some romantic entanglements with both co-stars just to keep the tension when there was a love triangle. So I don't think that was true necessarily for this because they all seem to get along actually pretty well on set. But there was definitely like, even Cary Grant, when he talked about Jimmy Stewart's role, he's like, he was so good that he just got out of the way. Like he just got out of the way. Like, and so... And you can kind of feel that in certain parts of the movie. It just feels like Cary Grant's on screen.
Oh, yeah. He just lets him go.
At first I'm like, oh, Cary Grant, Jimmy Stewart, who's going to get my attention? I'm like, oh, Jimmy Stewart. Holy cow. Yeah. Not even close.
Well, and to be fair,
he just had the same... Cary Grant didn't do that...
He just had the same role where he was the star in the same year.
Yeah.
Like, he was probably like, whatever. I got paid $137,000
and he got paid a lot
for this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I think
he donated all of it to the British War effort,
Fund.
which is pretty impressive. He got
I
forget how much $137,000,
which is like almost $3 million.
Yeah.
Today,
which is crazy because that's not nuts. Now it's $20 million, but that just shows you how overpaid actors are.
But that was unheard of back then.
Yeah, because that baseball players are paid whatever, not trillions of dollars like they are now. But yeah, so but he gave it all away, which is pretty incredible.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Good job, Cary.
Way to go, Cary Grant.
I don't know where I was going to go with that. I got distracted by some weird fun facts that I feel like are odd.
Yeah, do
you want to hear that the diving scene?
Yes, I heard about this one.
Was not done by a
not
stunt
for Katherine
double.
Hepburn.
It was really
not
Katherine
for Hepburn.
And I remember looking at watching this and I thought that wasn't a great dive, but good for her for
she was
jumping off.
Very
but it was
athletic.
Like it was fine. But then apparently later, when she's filming on Golden Pond, she encouraged Jane Fonda
to
perfect her own diving
and they made fun
scene
of her
because she did it once. And I thought, like, weird.
You
flex.
listen
like,
to me.
Did you know I
I'm going to
dived
tell you how to
in
dive
a movie
all
one
by
time?
yourself.
By yourself.
You'll never regret it.
Yeah, and this is what 1982, her last Oscar win.
Yeah. What was the other stuff that was interesting? I mean, I don't know. I actually don't think I have a ton of fun facts on
a
this.
lot of it is
it was just fun. I think the funnest thing was how it got made and the fact that we pulled in Howard Hughes, which has been a presence in some of our other movies, and it's just a fascinating
for
person.
Sure.
Yeah.
Like
American
if you go,
history.
the gossip is just because it was like all these people at their height, and they were all so promiscuous, and they were also kind of like, who knows what's going on? Like the rumor, like who knows what Cary Grant was going on or doing. And like, rumor was he was pining after him as well. Like, there's a lot of like weird, like, who knows? It was just such like, these guys were in the height of their powers, and these girls were the height of the powers, and they were just, it was just a very. It's just like a Hollywood moment. It feels like this feels like a Hollywood moment.
Yeah,
almost, and like Ocean's 11 feels like a Hollywood moment.
Well, yeah, and it's one of those, but it's one of those combinations too, where like Cary Grant, Jimmy Stewart, you'd think that they would have been in something else, and this is the only time they were in a movie together, which is, I felt like, very surprising. Very bizarre.
I mean, if I was in a movie with Jimmy Stewart, like, nope, I'm done, not doing that with him again.
Both went on to be leads in great Hitchcock.
Yes.
Yeah, they did. Yes, they did.
I think the only other super fun fact that I had was this is Julia Roberts' favorite movie.
Really?
And she says nobody should ever remake this because it is perfect.
It's pretty good.
And I agree with Julia
I don't disagree
Roberts.
with that. No, I don't disagree.
Well, and I think the other thing, like we were talking about, it's plenty modern, give or take, domestic violence.
I mean, it was just face palm.
And the speech by the dad. Palm. The speech by the dad should be tweaked a little bit because he basically said, "You're the reason why I'm sleeping with dancers." You know the divorce between me and mom?
Well, right, and you don't understand.
It was your fault. If my daughter loved me more, I wouldn't cheat on my wife.
Also, people today would say that kind of horrible thing.
People say
lots
of things in defense.
I think the fact that he's still supposed to be
but the way it was portrayed in the movie made it seem like that was the right thing. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it felt like that was the...
the mom-dad reconciliation piece. I could have been like,
Can we talk about her pantsuits for a second and her just outfits?
Apparently...
Sure.
Because it's
was
amazing.
it Mr. Mayor didn't want that pantsuit?
Did not approve, Mr. Mayor.
But it happened.
Of the pantsuits?
But it happened anyway.
Yeah, I love Katherine Hepburn and how...
She took control of everything. Her own career, her own profits in this.
Yeah.
Like, and many things.
She would play so well in 2024. She would just play so well. It's crazy. Like, I see her, I'm like, oh, you are golfing, you're athletic, you're masculine a little bit, but you're still a sex symbol. Like, it's a very weird thing because I watched it and I thought she's got a very masculine look in this movie, kind of unapologetically. Oh yeah, but
very tomboyish.
I never for a second question like the attraction between all three guys going after her. Like, I never for a second questioned that, despite her wearing like tomboyish, masculine features. I was like, oh yeah, no, this works out great. And that's 1940, y'all. That's 80 years ago.
Yeah. Well, and the span too, like the record span between her Oscar wins is like 1933 and 1982. And like the last three movies she won Oscars for. Like, she did so amazing.
It's like her first three and her last three she won Oscars for, but everything in between.
And she had like the most nominations, I think, ever. And Meryl's the only one that's won more than her.
And been nominated more than her.
Yeah. She's amazing.
Oof. No, pretty good stuff. Good stuff. Of course. Guys, I hate to say how good this movie is. And yes, there are some cringe 1940s moments unapologetically.
I would like to say how right I am about this movie being in my top 10.
And I liked it so much better than his Girl Friday.
It's great.
I liked it so much better than His Girl Friday.
That's interesting.
Pat.
I don't agree with that, but I think rewatching this movie would probably be way more enjoyable because I think the first watch I'm like, I don't know what people are trying to do here in a way that makes their characters a little unappealing. and now if I rewatch it, I would just get to appreciate the wittiness, the banter.
I think the more you watch it, the more you like it.
I agree because I watched Bringing Up Baby and His Girl Friday were like the other two movies that are going around this one, right? So I'm like, oh, same era. I got annoyed with Bringing Up Baby after watching this. Because I watched this first, then I watched Bringing Up Baby, and I was just like, you're just talking a lot, and it's not as clever.
Well, and I feel like His Girl Friday had all of the really witty one-liners, but the ensemble of the cast was so big
So
all
big.
the different reporters, all the different, like there was just too much happening.
And His Girl Friday.
And in this, it was so honed in.
I was fine with the other version, the front page. Like that's when I knew like His Girl Friday, like I could do the. Yes, it was better when the female was the reporter, but the witty banter of the reporters was half the fun of that movie. And so this one, I was like, oh, the three main characters just kill. We're rolling. This is good. I'm happy here. I couldn't believe how enjoyable it was. I
Told you. I told you.
And when I started, I was like, I don't know who to look at because all of them are commanding the scene. They're all three of them are commanding the scene. I don't even know who to look at. That was a great moment.
Well, and I mean Liz, who again, like Liz and Cary Grant's characters are this like bedrock to this movie working.
Yeah.
And they did so little, but they did it so well. And did she win an Oscar or she got nominated? I don't think
either way. I think actually she's the only one who got like bad.
No, she got nominated.
Everyone but Cary Grant got nominated.
Yes.
Stop it.
Hussey got nominated.
It's her only nomination.
Huh.
Didn't win.
Yeah.
Only Jimmy and the screenplay won.
She sure did. Best supporting actress. Man, oh man.
Which is entertaining to me that Jimmy Stewart got best actor. What would Cary Grant have? Like, isn't he also best actor? Would he have been a supporting?
I assume best supporting.
But he didn't get nominated, so they didn't
lost Jane Darwell of Grapes of Wrath, in case you want to know.
Oh, see, that's what.
Well, that was the thing. Jimmy Stewart thought he would lose to Henry Fonda.
He felt like it was just a makeup call from the year before.
And didn't Henry Fonda win the next year?
Yeah.
I probably
was. That's the thing about the Oscars. It feels like just like, oh, we owe you one.
Oh, sorry.
Here you go. Huh.
Good movie.
Yeah. But it is definitely a good movie. It doesn't feel snobby like some of the stuff we've seen recently. It's snobby by nature of
black and white.
It being
honestly
acclaimed.
Black and white. Like
it's
I
old.
feel like overall it aged
and
pretty
it
well.
Kicked
too,
off,
despite a few.
It kicked off Katherine Hepburn's resurgence. So yeah, I would still put it in the snobby.
Yeah, I still believe it's top
category,
100 American movie of all time for sure. That to me, it's the top. It deserves to be in the AFI top 100 for sure. For me, it's the best rom-com of all time. I obviously made that statement to start out. I haven't changed since we started this podcast, unlike some people in this podcast.
I don't know if it's my best rom-com, but it's top 5.
Top 5.
Top 3.
Yeah, top 3. There we go. And Pat doesn't think it's even top 3, do you?
Pat thinks it's utter garbage.
It's not currently in my top 3. I'd be curious to rewatch it. Like I said, I think the storyline took me out of it initially, where I'm like, what?
Yeah.
But her...
Who wants what happening?
Everybody just fits so
But
well.
like, I loved the characters.
And
that was the thing that kept me the whole time. I adored the cast and what they were doing scene to scene, but the whole arc of it, I think, lost some of the, like, in a lot of ways, the movie, like, the story's pointless. Like, the blackmail thing, you're like, who cares?
Yeah.
Like, that's sort of a non-factor.
It was like a tabloid issue at the time.
Yeah, but you're like, what? Again, it's a contrivance that got these characters in the room together.
Yeah.
Great. But that, I think I was trying to figure out more of what that was, and I shouldn't have been. I should have just been enjoying each scene as it came, and not really worrying about why any of it was happening.
Stop plot judging.
Because in that way, it's great. Yeah, I was just like, what? Who?
It doesn't have to all make sense.
I just started looking.
100%.
I just started looking at
and it just
the
didn't
Oscar
matter.
Stuff, and this is getting very distracting. I apologize. Cary Grant was also in the running for being one of these characters, by the way, and I'm so glad he didn't do it. I'm so glad.
Wait, what?
So Cary Grant was also supposed to be Cary Grant's character. I mean,
I could see how that happened, and then he got the part.
And then Cary Grant got it, thankfully, over.
You mean
Cary Grant got the part that
no,
Cary
over
Grant
Clark
played.
Gable. Sorry, Clark Gable was supposed to supposed to be in the running.
But he was not available.
Yes, he wasn't available. Thank goodness.
Yeah.
Thank
and
goodness.
Gary Cooper really wanted it and was like complaining, saying Cary Grant was too good looking for it. And it's like, Gary Cooper, you're like the same amount of good looking.
Gary Cooper is good looking.
Like, why are you such a whiner about it?
James Stewart also beat Charlie Chaplin for The Great Dictator. 2 out of the 5 best actors were for comedies. How awesome is that? When would that ever happen again?
Well, because now they have a different category.
For the
drama and comedy.
Well, if it's the Golden Globes.
Oh, Golden Globes. Yeah. You're right.
Yeah.
Golden
also,
Globes.
Orson Welles didn't win for Citizen Kane, by the way.
No.
Gary Cooper did.
No. It wasn't popular at the time.
Interesting. Huh.
Too weird.
Great stuff. That's the next year. Wow.
I felt like there was a string of really cool movies.
This was
They really knew what they were doing in the
30s
and 40s.
Because it's like the talkies, they finally got the tech up to just like kill it.
Yeah.
They had the good tech, haven't gone to color yet, so it's still like the height of black and white.
Well, and they were being inventive with cinematography and, in general. Although this movie is like pretty tame, but it's like does what it needs to do, right? Again, I think this movie does feel like a filmed play, not in a bad way. But you go, here's kind of just a set, and let's let these actors run, and there's long takes. And
still feels better. Still feels more like a movie than the movie we just watched called His Girl Friday. His Girl Friday felt like a play. That was like that almost annoyed me how much they were just in the same room the whole time. Like, I was actually annoyed. Yeah. I'm like, I get it. No,
they went out the window. They were outside the window, too.
It was the worst.
Flying out the window.
Literally.
Hanging things out the window.
Jimmy Stewart in Rear Window
things out the
was a better non-play movie than what we saw. And he's in a wheelchair with a broken leg. That's how much better. That's how much I kind of despise the one room scene of His Girl Friday. But this one felt a lot better than that. So, okay.
Yeah, although we're in 5 rooms and outside, right? We're never really in the house all that much.
Guys, you know the Rotten Tomatoes score of this?
Not good enough.
100%.
Pat, do you know it?
Yeah, 100%.
Not a single critic.
See? It is perfect.
No critic disliked it.
Nobody.
No critic. There's like,
I'm telling you.
The only thing people like poop.
No, I mean, it's positive for sure.
This is a bad interpretation of what it means to be a woman. Like, it was all like nothing to do with the acting, nothing to do with the screenwriting.
Feminism
it was just like,
again. Come on.
No, other way
guys.
around. It was more like she's too masculine, or like stuff like that. This ruins womanhood or something.
Well, if you just don't like Katherine
exactly
Hepburn,
right. So nothing.
I feel like people who don't like her really don't like her.
Yeah, it's crazy to see movies that have like no negative, like critical acclaim. That's so weird.
It's a great movie.
It's not bad.
Thank you.
Like
Thank
a
you
lot of
both
these movies.
It's not bad.
The writing, and then of course how it's pulled off. So, just a little quote I appreciate. CK saying, "Sometimes for your own sake, Red, I thought you should have stuck to me longer." And she said, "I thought it was for life, but the nice judge gave me full pardon." That's the old redhead. No bitterness, no recrimination, just a good swift left to the jaw. And you're like, who talks like this? But I want more of it.
It's so good.
It's so good.
And
it is funny too. Hello, Dexter. Hello,
it felt relaxing
Mike. Hello,
and fast.
George.
Because the problem with like bringing up Baby, it's fast and not relaxing. And so there's something about this one that was just better screen.
There's a space to it. The tempo is
so good.
Funniest
it's less
dream. There's just so many things.
This is a rewatchable.
And
I'll give you that.
Jimmy's
is a rewatchable.
Jimmy's intellectual snob speeches are so funny. Like it's all great.
It's all great. Okay, this is a winner. This is a snobby movie for me and a crowd favorite. This is 2 for 2. That should be our thing, right? Because is it a snobby movie? 1 and 2.
Yes.
Is it?
Will other people like it?
This is like this hits both things for me.
Yeah,
but the problem is the only reason it does is because it's old. Like I feel like if this was Notting Hill, Notting Hill can't be snobby because it's new.
Yeah,
is that the problem? So
Yeah.
I don't know. It's refreshing to see how much critical acclaim this got when it came out. It makes me wish that rom-coms could get this now. Like Crazy Rich Asians did not get this much love. The only time it got a lot of love, but not like Silver Lining Playbook is the only other rom-com I could think of. But they
Always Be My Maybe.
But they disguise it.
That one.
They disguise it. They have to disguise the rom-com with something else. It can't be just an obligatory screwball comedy rom-com.
Past Lives.
When Harry Met Sally was nominated for
It's not a
funny
rom-com.
too.
It has funny moments, but that's like funny moments like,
Okay, well
The
then
Terminator
let's say
has
Always Be
funny
My Maybe.
moments.
That's a good one.
Yeah. I love Past Lives. Don't get me wrong.
I know you do. Don't get me started.
Oppenheimer won.
We
Who
did
cares
do
about
the
Oppenheimer?
movie Past Lives.
Past Lives, man. That's way better than Oppenheimer. I mean,
All right,
okay, guys. Thanks for listening. This has been How to Be a Movie Snob, and we just reviewed The Philadelphia Story, Academy Award winning The Philadelphia Story. Well, we don't say actually. My name is Seth.
Mariah.
And we are your team reviewing movies, trying to get close to being snobs. Until next week, guys, like, subscribe, and follow us. We are happy to keep watching movies, and we hope you are too. Take care.
Hiccup.
Sorry.